Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session about WebEx devices. We'll speak about the APIs behind WebEx devices. Okay. My goal is to teach you everything you need to know to program for WebEx devices and Cisco collaboration devices as a whole. Everything that is powered with CE, Cisco Collaboration Endpoint software. Then, my name is Steve. I live in France. Maybe you already noticed that. In fact, I'm the point of contact for DevNet Europe. Then if you have any project, if you have any initiative and you would like to DevNet to be part of, then please reach out to me in WebEx Teams. I will be happy to help you. And I manage a worldwide team of dev advocates. We take care about collaboration, IoT, DevOps, and cloud. And we create the resources at DevNet. We are in contact with BU. We give them feedback about the next versions of the API. We help on the documentation. And we do events like today. Okay. Then I'm a crazy API addict. I love writing code. And I think APIs are wonderful because technology is very complex. But when you use it at the API level, it gets damn simple. Okay, then that's my goal for today is to explain you how simple APIs can make it. Cisco does a great job at creating very simple APIs. I'm part of a group that tries to make all our APIs more simple and consistent for our customers. Then, and you'll see this API is very well advanced. We will cover several topics today. Is the sound okay for everybody? Sound is okay? Good. Can you raise it up? Can you raise it up a bit? Thank you. I can hardly hear myself. Thank you very much. Then our agenda for today is we will speak about this API. Why would you program it? And then we'll dive into how can you access this API from various channels. And then we will see how we can extend the device itself. And we'll finish with the roadmap. At the end of this session, you should know everything about the latest version of CE 9.6.1 and the API behind it, and how to use it. Then, what is? This is typical Cisco Collaboration Endpoints. You will learn nothing about Cisco Collaboration Endpoints during this session. I assume you know them. If you don't know them, go to World of Solutions. They will explain you, they will show you more devices. The goal of this session is to dive into the APIs. What do you see here? 7 participants, video call, presentation in progress. This thing has no value to me as a developer. Not at all. What has value is my code capable of getting that data? Can my code get that data to do something useful with it? And the response is yes. And there's more. See this touch panel at the middle of the table? It's fully extensible. You can add your own activities on top of it. Did you know that? And you can build your own. And then you can program your own events. We're going to see how to do that. Then, whatever Cisco collaboration you have at end, whether it's a rootkit or any others, except WebEx Share, all of the devices, they are powered by Cisco CE, Collaboration Endpoint software. And all of them have the xAPI embedded with it. And everything I speak about today applies to those devices. Have you got any at home? Yeah? No? Okay. Then, if you want to follow the discussion after, you can still jump into that space. I'm always happy to answer questions. And I will also drop the latest versions of the slides into this space as a PDF. Tomorrow it will get refreshed and you will get it too, okay? From your mobile app. And it's always the same URL. Livebot / Cisco Livebot - DevNet and the number of the session. And you already know that. Then, first thing is, 2 kinds of devices we have. A Cisco collaboration device can be registered on-prem or cloud. two different ways to access the API. If it's an on-prem, you can directly connect to the web UI, the web UI. This is where you can manage your device. Okay, then you go that path, you're good if it's on-prem device. If it's cloud registered, you will need to go to your organization. Once you go to your organization, let me show you there. And I show it to you because if you're not an administrator for your organization, you will need someone to do that for you. I did a session like 2 hours ago, DevNet 3670, where I explained for IT pros how to provide you a token. Then basically what they will do is they will go to their control hub. They will pick among their list of devices, they will pick one device, and this one is a classroom. And they will go at the back and they say, I want to launch advanced settings. They will need to be on the local network. And then here goes a redirect loop, getting a token from the cloud and connecting to the device with a token that lets it register. And now you're registered with an admin account. Now it's okay. But that account is temporary. It keeps expiring. What you need is a stable account. Then what you'll do is create new users from there. Then set up and security users. And see here, I've already created a local admin. That one doesn't expire. And an integrator role. And I'll explain more about those roles. But first thing, that's what you will do. Once you've done that, everything I explained now, moving forward, is the same for on-prem or cloud. Good? You're good? In fact, there are 4 roles you can get on a Cisco Collaboration device. And depending on the role, you will have more or less privileges. Which means that for the API, the same privileges will apply. If you can't create a user, you won't be able to create a user with the API. But everything you can do from the user interface, you can do it from the API. This API, this product is API first. Okay, then that's pretty interesting. Because now, anywhere you click on the touchscreen, something happens, you can do it from code. And I'm going to show you how. There's one thing you may need, is what if you don't have a collaboration device? I know, Baptiste, you don't have one yet. You have one, okay, very good. And maybe you have one, but you don't want to mess up with it because it's already in production. You can't break it. That's not the issue, because if a device you play with it and you're not happy, you factory reset it, it restarts from scratch. But maybe you can't access it. Then we have Sandbox at DevNet. Sandbox are racked environments in a data center where we have everything possible at Cisco. And routers, cameras, Cisco collaboration devices, we've got a bunch of those. Then you will go to the Sandbox and you'll say, I want to make a reservation of a room kit. That is what we've put there. It's CE is exactly the same. If it was a DX80, that would run exactly the same way. Okay. Then this room kit, you'll pick a version. Currently, we have 9.3 and 9.6 because those are the one capable of the latest versions. And 9.6 is the last version you can get right now. And when a 9.7 gets out, we update 9.7. And at some point, we may update the 9.3, but in case you have an older device on-prem, you don't want to switch from, we keep a 9.3 for you, just to test. Okay? If you have something WebEx registered, it's always on the next version. WebEx registered now get automatically a 9.7 at the moment. Okay, then just pick the last version. It's the same level of API. We always have backward compatibility. Then you're good to go with the latest 9.6.1 today. Then let's start with, let's do something real, okay? Because I don't like speaking too much. My best way of learning is seeing things. Then let's do that. What can you do with the API? go and ask for some data. Let's say we want to count the number of people in this space. You'd say, hey, I heard it was possible. You would go to the documentation and you would be looking for how to do people counting. And it will say, hey, to do people counting, only 3 roles can have access. There's a 4th one, which is in-room control. In-room control is a role to create those controls. This one can't do people counting. Does it make any sense? His job is to create new controls, okay? Integrator can do both. And the biggest one is admin. Integrator generally is the best role to use when you extend the device. Then here, end user is like what the touchscreen can do. List the users in your directory and create a phone call. Then, how can you use a feature? First way of using a feature is by going to the command line in SSH. I will show you how to do it, but afterwards we will do code. But sometimes it's interesting. I will show you why. Then if you log with SSH, here I created some PuTTY session. I'm on the SSH, and this is the IP address of my device. .46, it's here. I'm not on a sandbox, I'm in this environment. If I tell that device, hey, can you count the number of faces you see at the moment in the room? It says 18. Can you see that? Can you please turn all your faces? It takes 10 seconds for him to go down with the face. So that if you move here and there, see? Oh, and now 10 seconds later, we go to 7. Please come back. Then see? We went to 7 after 10 seconds. And when he sees face back, he rises up. Then now, we would be 18. And that's just for the area you can see. Okay? This device, I think, can count up to 35 faces. If you want to count hundreds of people, we have Meraki cameras. They have people counting. There's a demo in the DevNet creation zone. You will be able to count like hundreds. Then that feature here, now, I want to use it from code because it's pretty interesting. There are several use cases for that. There. The first thing, if your device doesn't count, it's because it's in standby mode. It's not being used. There's also a flag that says, please count out of call, even when a call is not happening. Then just activate count out of call, and when your device is awake, you will get something that is the actual number of participants in the room. Then, I did it from the command line, SSH. Now let's do it from HTTP. My favorite tool is Postman. I'm a strong fan of Postman. This tool is free, millions of developers, like 5 millions, and it has a lot of power. Have you used Postman? Okay. We have a Postman collection for xAPIs, which means you can load it and you have some of the API calls. It's a community contributions. I started it. If you want to add some calls, please do, because it will get bigger, okay? Not everything is in there, but just what's important. Then, here is an example with Postman. Then now I will say, I'm in Postman. This is the collection. See, I've created 2. One as admin, where you can deploy macros, you can deploy controls, you can do crazy stuff, everything. And I have created one for integrators, restricted some of the stuff you can do as an integrator. Then for today, I just need to do people counts. Integrator is enough. This is my request on an endpoint. My credential is a basic auth. Then I compute that basic auth for my user. And then I can click send, and I get the current number is, guess what? We are currently counting 14. Who's left the room? Oh, okay, I see someone. Stop looking at your mobile phone. You're eating my numbers now. That's a joke, okay? Please, continue doing your job. It helps for the demo. It helps a lot. You're helping already. Let me give you a prize for that. Thanks for the help. Then, now that we have a Postman call here, And see, I can do a lot of other stuff, but Postman lets you generate code. Then right now, if I can make the call, I can say, hey, what's your favorite language? REST. Curl? Python? Python is good? Then here, you got Python with requests. Now you've got the code. Then I've generated, if you go to Node, I generated one, I pick this one, okay? And you just do the get. And from there, if I go to my terminal, and I ask Node, that's a code, more people count, then this is the code we just saw. And if I run it, and Node people count, I will get my answer. Hey, now I have 17. Thanks for being back with us. Is that good? Okay. We have hundreds of comments. I'm not going to do 100. I'm just going to illustrate what we can do with this one. Okay? Then, next thing. You can import the Postman collection for xAPI. You've got the link. Okay, I will put that in the resources, and again, you will have it in the deck. And you can generate code from Postman. I just showed that. Now, the feature interesting is that that device is capable of running the code itself. Then instead of coding the code from my laptop now, I'm going to take the code, I am going to deploy it on the device. Serverless. Woo, let me dance, because serverless is so cool. No need to take care anymore of the server. Checking is alive. I can embed my code in there. I can even deploy my code from code. Then we're going to create a macro, and then we can automate the push of the macro to my devices. Now that I can see now I am eating your brain. That's good. Then what's a macro? It's JavaScript code. Very simple JavaScript. I did a session yesterday about the basics for JavaScript. The name is 1444. In 45 minutes, I explained how to do JavaScript for newbies, okay? And you'll see what we do is very simple JavaScript. But you can do pretty advanced JavaScript too, on your way. Then, you run JavaScript. All devices can do that, all CE-capable devices except SX10, because of CPU and memory constraints. And that's it. Let's go. How do you do that? You go to your admin interface, you click macro editor, and inside, you enable the macros. You can enable through code. You can say, be always enable when you boot. In case you update and you restart your device, the macros will still be running. And then you start editing some code. Let's do it. I prepared the macro here. Then we go to the device. There, remember this interface. You go to the macro editor. Here am I. I've already have 3 macros for my activities here. I'm going to add a new one. And that's a code I was proposing. I save it. Maybe I give it a name. Claire, Cisco Live Europe. Easy. I activate it so that it gets alive. And shortly, did I save it? Save. Where are my logs? Okay, something is happening, but I'm not seeing the logs. Give me my logs. Okay. I will restart. Now they were coming. Sorry. Then yeah, here's my code. And I restarted everything. They were coming at the same time. Then here is just what I got. This is clear. The other logs are from my other macros. Clear, initial count is 18. And this is exactly the code that was here. Let's us read this code together. Require is the way you import existing libraries for Node and JavaScript as a whole. Then JavaScript requires says load the xAPI library for me. Then on xAPI, I want to call status. Remember when I typed status, it's exactly the same. What I get is rootkit analytics, exactly the same I was putting on SSH. Then means wait for the answer to come back. And when, because it's coming asynchronously. When the answer is back, you get the answer is a count argument, and you say, this is my initial count. You just learned JavaScript with promises. Congrats. Start with version ES6. Did you need to know all that about JavaScript? No. You just need a few good samples, and you're good to start. And then maybe you find a JavaScript developer in your area that can help you go to the next steps. But that's all you need for now. Next. For JavaScript developers, are there JavaScript developers here? And if you have someone that is a JavaScript developer and wants to know what's going on here, it will say, which version of JavaScript are you running? Then tell him, inside this thing, we have duct tape, which is the name of the runtime. And it's an open source runtime. We have deployed it on the device, on CE. And it's version 2.2. And it runs everything you can do with the latest JavaScript features, because it embeds Babel. And it's parameters for Babel or latest. Then any new feature coming, you will get it, because we recompile the code to get the latest features in JavaScript. That's the way JavaScript developers do it. Async await is a feature that developers love sometimes, then it's also supported. Then most of the code, most of your JavaScript skills, you should be able to reuse them. And there's a tutorial too that is accessible. Did I show you that? If you go to introduction, you click on the tutorial link here, and it will teach you the basic steps. See there, how to get started, how to do your first comments, and all that, how to import the library. Then everything I showed, it's explained here. The manual is available here. The endpoint itself is proposing the manual, the guide. Okay? The new version of CE, new version of the guide come with the device. Next, if we want to build an app, it would be great to listen to events. Then now imagine when someone looks at his mobile phone, you get the counting that goes down. You want to know it in real time. You don't want to poll every time, say, hey, how many people are there? You want to get an event when that happens. Then it's possible. The command, on the command line, it's called xFeedback. And whenever a value changes about anything happening, a code is started, someone is opening a panel, the number of people in the room changes, any state that changes, you receive an event. Very chatty. Then you will need to filter the event you're interested in, and then start your code. Then this is how you would register to get instant information about the number of people in the room. xFeedback register, you register something. We will do it from code, okay? I'm just showing you how to do it from the command line. Then the permissions, are you authorized to call, to do a register on that? If you've got access to X status, you can register to the same data. Normal. If you can access it, you can receive events. If you can't access it, ask for a bigger privilege role, like admin. Don't forget to deregister when you do that, because it will be chatty logs for the device and the performance will be less good. And it's good for development mode. What I often do, I often register everything. I do, as a developer, I do xFeedback register slash, and I see lots of logs coming about everything. And then I catch the event I want, and then I deregister everything. Does that help? Okay, then now we can also listen from code. Then here is how to listen from JavaScript. See there? xAPI event on, whenever something is happening, I'm logging it. It's a way of registering a feedback. And then you do your code. Now, that's when you run on the device, okay? Now there are some cases where you will be interested to run it, you run your code on your server because you want to do more advanced code. Here, the only thing I can do is JavaScript and xAPI. Maybe you want to access a xAPI database or an enterprise directory. You need to load more modules, okay? If you need to embed that into your code, you will need to run on a server distinct from the macro. That makes sense. How would you do that? Then we have an open source JS6 API module I'm going to tell you about that lets you create your own app like if with all the possibilities you had with macros. It's a JS6 API module. Let's say you would want to create the DevNet zone, this area, and you would like to know in real time how many people, participants are in each space, in each room in your organization. You would listen from a server, you would create an SSH connection to each device, and you will get the answer real time through the API. Then for that, you will use the JS6 API module in Node. And Node, oh, what's Node? Okay, you're new to JavaScript. Node is exactly the same stuff as duct tape. It runs JavaScript code. And and you can install it on any server. It's universal. It's like Python. You've got Python everywhere. You've got Node everywhere. You've got Java everywhere. All those languages. Then you take the Node runtime, you install it on a server or on your laptop, and you can import this library, and right away you've got all the power of the xAPI on your machine. It's MIT, it's open source. If you find a bug, you can fix it. And it's also available on Code Exchange. Then if you want to access it, our Code Exchange is the platform where we contribute all our code. Then here is the code you will get. Then that's the example to run exactly the same thing that I did before. You will find, that's not exactly the same one. Look here. See there, I'm doing a dial. And this is where you send your command, okay, your code. All the prep, this is prep work. You're setting your connection. And then you do your XPI. And now I'm going to take all the first parts, and here I'm going to do people count from Node. It's here. Then that's my example. And here I'm doing the people count. Then if I launch that, it says, and that's the reason why you want sometimes also. Now I have debugging. And it's the same code I could put at the macro. When I deploy the macro, it runs, but I can't debug it. If it runs on my machine now, I can put a breakpoint in my code. And now I can do next step. And I've got the current number, -1. See? It's in standby mode. I need to wake it up. And I will run it again. Now it's back, it's live, it says 9. See? Oh, maybe you don't see. Okay. And you continue. Then now I have a feedback listener. And the feedback listener is in real time, it will log when there's a change. Then please, I would have 5 of you to leave the session and to come back in 1 minute. Or just turn your head. But here, it just got updated to 21. It was waking up, then it was starting, now it sees everybody. And real time. Then that's the way we built that application, which is, that was my developer tip for debugging. And when your code is ready, you put it on the device. You version it and you're good. This code is open source. It's on my GitHub repo. You just get there and you download the code. It's also on Code Exchange. Code Exchange is the area where all contributors, all developers that want to share with the community, you create a GitHub repo and you submit it and it gets registered. Okay, we have about 350 repos registered right now. You pick a technology and you find code samples. That's pretty handy to start. Okay, now what if you want to do in-room controls? Remember my introduction? Then what if you want to enhance the experience in a meeting room? Someone arrives in a meeting room and he wants to interact with the room. Then, one typical example is I want to take the blind down when I start the presentation. Then what I would do is when I see a presentation starting, when I have the event presentation starts, I would send a request to a device, an IoT device, saying, turn the blinds down, my friend. And the lights also. I want them to be less bright. Then, that's typically, today in organizations, you've got several tablets on your meeting tables, generally, to do IoT stuff. And that gets messy for users. Oh, you're starting the call, you go there. Oh, you want to take the blinds down, you go there. You want to do the both? Okay, you have 2 hands, good news. Press the buttons. Then, that's what I did here. I created a simple demo. That is Philips Hue. I ordered them Wednesday on Amazon. They arrived Thursday. And I took an hour just to make an API call from a button. And now I created what I'm going to show you. A panel, that's mine. And when I switch it on, it says, hey, red. I can say, hey, I want to turn it green. Okay? And I want to turn it blue. This one is pretty nice because it has some power also, then you can drag it around. Okay? And it receives, then what happens here? I'm pressing the button. My code in there receives the event. The code sends an HTTP call to a network device which is called the Philips Hue Hub. It's here. The Philips Hue Hub, that happens over HTTP, TCP. In LAN, I'm on the same local network, and from there I send an HTTP call. Then that's the code I'm going to show. Then between that and that is ZigBee, European Protocol for IoT. Easy? It's a lot of technologies. But at the end of the day, it's 2 lines of code. One to receive the event, one to send a command. Can we do that? Can you do that? Not sure? Okay, I'm going to show you how then. Oops, let me turn it off. Okay, let's see how. Then, on the codec, you've got a development environment. Integrated. Let's open it and see what it can do for you. Let's come back here. Remember, this was my UI. Then I went to macro. Now I will go to in-room control. And when you get there, you can launch the simulator. This is where you have the virtual room with the blinds and all that. That's nice. What we want to do now is launch the editor. And here are my screens. See my Philips Hue? It's here. I can create a new one. I can say I want to create one. I will name it workshop. It will be, what's the day today? Thursday? And you say something, I all, I, and you can add some widgets, like your button. You can add widgets, some like sliders. You can say, I want that to be small, okay? And you can give values. You can say that thing, I want it red. And you say, let's change to a phone, a camera, I love, oh, a diner. I didn't have food. You deploy. Woo! Workshop, diner, click, buttons, ready. You can do that. Yes, now you say, yes, I'm happy. You make my day, my friend. Then now you take the button and you put an event on it. Event number 3, for example. And then you just redeploy your code. And you can go to the emulator if you want. And if you press here, you can say, hey, I just got event 3 pressed. And that's what I catch from my code. When someone presses event 3, I catch that event, and now I have JavaScript, and I do whatever I want. Master of the world, that power we have now at hands. Honestly, that doesn't exist in the industry. And that's a key differentiator for any customer buying a device and any partner doing just value-added services on top of Cisco. And nobody will do that soon, because it took more than 15 years to build all that. Like the API, making them stable, making them backward compatible, creating these beautiful interfaces with touch. That's a lot of work from Cisco. You can also press the button from here. If I press it here, see? Whether I am in the pre-visualization or here, it's exactly the same behavior. Why that? Because the whole device is xAPI first. Anything goes through the API. Okay. Next thing I want to teach you, because you're a fast learner, then you can customize your icons, deploy, and all that. Oh, we had a workshop yesterday. If you're interested, I can drop you the slides. And we also have learning labs, okay, where we were posting messages to WebEx Teams. Like, help me. Poof, you get a message in WebEx Teams. Posting a message is always the same. It's this kind of code. It's this command. Then let's do a post, because this is what I do for my... Every time you will want to interact with something external, you will send a request. How? You will use this new command we just launched with C9.6.1 that was on January 7th. And it's available for all WebEx deployed devices, and otherwise you need to install C9.6.1 on your device. And you will have HTTP client, post, and puts. You put a header, you put URLs, and you put a content, and it's sent. And if the call is successful, you get a status code, and in rest, that means success. Then you made it. Okay? One thing to know. For now, you don't get the payload back. You won't get the answer. And you can send information, whatever you want. You can format it the way you like, any payload. But you can't get the result back, except the status code. That's a limitation. We are working on it. Soon you will have the ability to read the overall of it. But it's not possible now. That may be the reason why, for now, there's some code you won't be able to run them as a macro. Because on a macro, you will have only this possibility. You will want to go back to Node so that you can load any library you want. And in Node, you will add extra libraries to request on the network. Okay? And that's a limitation only of macros. But we are working to remove that limitation. Are we good so far? Let's continue. We still have 5 minutes. When I started that about a year ago, playing with macros, I created this game for my kids. Then it's a maze, and you're blind, and you're trying to go and help, and you have a score. And if you hit a wall, you lose points. There's a cat, you gain points because you save him. There's a monster, you lose 500 points. All that is only JavaScript running as a macro if you want to play and learn what can be built. That's a good example. Another one is taking the ultrasound value down if you're in a large space like here. That has value because that is not a feature that is native to the Touch 10. And that's on purpose from Cisco. We want to ship this Touch 10 only with 2 buttons. Call and share my screen. All others, you all have different needs. Then you will use an existing macro, and there's hundreds, or you will code your own for your own purpose, or for your customer. Okay? Better than that. Remember these panels here? When you generate one, I created one. This thing, you can save it as XML. And you can change the code and you can push it. Then now you can automate the push of in-room controls to thousands of devices. And whenever you enter a room or a different branch office, you will have different activities corresponding to that exact site. Is that awesome? But yeah, I can see you. I love it. Then there's a lot of examples. This repo, xAPI samples. This one, object is advantage. You will have it in the resources. It's where I push all my examples. And on Code Exchange, you will find all the examples from the community. Okay, then just start from there. Look at what exists and then start building your own. I want to finish with the roadmap. And in case you're new to the journey, and that's a huge potential because most of the biggest part of the community for now has been just using devices. There hasn't been a lot of developers. Then this community is starting. Then if you're new, let me finish to ramp you up. Then these features are available since November 17. And then the module, since it's been a year now, it's open source, you'll see the different versions. We brought a more advanced version of the in-room controls in 9.3, and over time we will have more advanced ones. Even if they get more advanced, we preserve backward compatibility of your apps. You don't need to check them, because remember it's a piece of XML, and it's only that we need. Then even if the look changes, if there are new features, we preserve the backward compatibility of your stuff. You can safely install a new version of CE. You won't break your in-room controls. Fine? Now we have CE for web exports. Oh, that was during Christmas. And soon, you'll get an API specific to the web exports. Like, where am I clicking? What are the keystrokes? There's some specific aspects on a web export. And this new HTTP client, we are on our way to extend it to give you more features. And the reason why we're speaking, it's a big start today, because January is when we are starting saying that we spread the general availability of those features for WebEx cloud registered devices, also WebEx devices. For the past, all that was available only for on-prem. Now you have the full feature set for cloud registered too. Oh, I can see some smiles here. That's good. Before that, it was only with the integrator role. You couldn't do everything. No macros and only integrator. Since January, you can do admin, which means all, and macros for cloud registered. And then this is what we support today. To finish with the roadmap, then all the commands you send from when you type status command configuration, that's available from the API first. You just need local network connectivity to the device, which can be tricky sometimes, because if you want to provide a functionality to companies, you don't have access to the local network, that can be a problem. And we are now working on providing it through the WebEx cloud, so that you wouldn't be that registers to the WebEx cloud, and I would be sending code to the WebEx Cloud and events going back to the codec. Is that nice? Yeah, great opportunities there. If you want to be part of that EFT, it's an early field access. Chat to me in one-on-one with the use case, and we're happy to onboard you. Okay, we will be looking for specific use cases to finalize this feature. And macros and feedback. If you want to learn more, it's a lot, okay? We've done a lot, okay? It's 45 minutes. Most of you knew nothing about programming devices or about xAPIs. Then, the slides, I'm going to give them to you, but we have 3 labs at DevNet. Each one is 20 minutes. One is to learn the basics, HTTP, SSH commands. That should be 5 minutes now for you. One is about building your own controls and macros, and you will build all from scratch the ultrasound one. This one, you will build it from scratch. 20 minutes. And the last one is pushing branding, custom messaging, customizing your device from code. The resources, what's your next action? Learning labs, certainly, but there's one even better. I would say is join the WebEx devices developer space. We are like more than 400, and we're just passionate about development. And if you have any question, you can ask in there. And that's our community, okay? And we want you to be part of the community. And the second good link is Awesome xAPI. It's all the valuable contents existing. Then someone has created a macro, it's a good code, we reference it. But it's more than code exchange, because we also have the best guides, the best tutorials. Then, if you have created the best solutions, if you have created something that you're feeling very proud of and you want to share, just go to Awesome xAPI, submit, and we'll be happy to accept the requests with the few managers of this repo, and you'll be added. Thank you very much. That was a lot. We're in the DevNet zone. Then there's always a lot to learn. The Start Now zone behind you is where we can have one-to-one conversations. I will be there from 5 to 6:30, but you can join at any moment and speak with someone to help you on your next steps with Cisco. Okay. Then, and attend workshops. It's a great way to learn also. Don't forget to complete the survey. It helps us find the right level of contents. This was a 2000 session. It was a bit more than introduction, and maybe has been more difficult to follow at some steps. But we wanted to give you a more, and we can also do some 3000 level sessions, going into detail then. Please, put your evaluation and add comments so that we understand which kind of contents we want to deliver to you next year. Thanks, everybody.